Hey guys, welcome back. This time I hope it'll be a short video. I want to cover animations, and this will actually probably be the last video in this series of the top-down bolt version for a few different reasons. One is we reached the end of the bolt basic tutorial, and a lot of you guys are actually saying that my code is outdated, so I was thinking we might as well just start a new one in an FPS format and update some code along the way. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so we're right where we left off, and we want to learn animations. So of course, let's go to our cube, and this is probably going to look really bad, but again, for all these tutorials, it's just to get the point across, and in your own project, you can make it look a lot better. So let's go and add a, the sphere is probably fine. I'm going to move it 1.5 out in that direction, shrink it down a little bit, just like so. And now we want to create an animation for the sphere. In my head, I was just kind of picturing it going in a circle around our player while the player is moving. And to do that, we actually do not want to make the animation on the sphere itself, but we want to make it on the player, in our case, the cube. We want to do this because the player is the bolt entity. It's what the bolt entity is attached to, and this will come into play later. So for now, just have the cube selected, create an animation. I guess we can just put it in our assets folder for now, but I'll probably make an animations folder right after this. So we name it move animation, probably good enough, I guess, and then save it. Now with that animation made, now we can click the sphere and we can click record. And we want to move the position, but we want the initial position to be this, so we can just change this to some random number and then change it back to what it was. And now we have the transform, the initial transform recorded, so we can jump ahead maybe 0.2 seconds, and let's move it 1.5 ahead, 0 right there. Do the same thing, but for negative 1.5, so just like that. And then one more for the back of the player, negative 1.5. And then it'll look a bit weird right now, so let's go ahead and finish this animation back where we started it. So 1.5 and 0. And now we have a rough kind of movement animation. It's good enough. And like I was saying, I only want this animation when the player is moving. So let's go and add an idle animation. Go ahead and save. And now we can click record. And all we want to do is just record our transform. So we can again just enter a random number, put it back to where it was. And now if you play this animation, it won't do anything, which is what we want because it's idle. And just to make sure, if we click cube and we look at the list of animations, they are both on the state itself, which is exactly what we want. So it looks like we're good to go. Okay, now let's head back into the asset menu. And I really do want to make a folder just because I am a neat type of person. So let's name it animations. And we want to move in both the idle animation, the move animation, and we also want to move in the animator. The cube animator in this case. So let's drag all of this in there, and now we're good to go for the folder. So we can head into the player movement script and begin our coding. Okay, so first we want a reference to our animator. That way we can play functions, or animations rather, and so let's make a public animator, and we can just name it simple player animator. Perfect. And then we can go down to, this is our movement, and this is what actually moves the cube. So we can just say, if movement is not equal to 0, we want the player animator to play a function, and I believe we named it move animation. Make sure you spell that correctly. And if it's not moving, if movement is equal to 0, else player animator dot play idle animation. Once you're done, go ahead, click Save, head back into the editor. Don't forget to drag the animator into the thing we just created. So now I'm going to build and run and show you guys what it looks like. Okay, so I am this cube in the center. You can ignore that one for now. And this is what it looks like. So when I'm moving, it looks kind of bad, but you get the idea. When I move, it plays an animation. And of course, it looks weird for the other player and for the other client because we haven't linked it over the network. So let's go ahead and do that. So linking animations over the network is actually fairly easy. All we want to do is say state.setAnimator equal to, or not equal to rather, we put it in the parenthesis and then say player animator. Easy. And with that out of the way, that one line of code in the attach method, we just want to replace player animator with state.animator. And then we want to say state.animator.play there. And wow, that was really easy. Let's see it work. So I just built and run it again, and sadly, as you can tell, it does not quite work yet. But that is because we just need to add one more intermediate step, and then it should be working. So even though we have state.animator.play, the argument it's based off of is actually still local. We have if movement is not equal to vector3.0. This movement, even though the cube may move across the network, this movement is still only local. So we just need another step to make this argument over the network. And I may have made that sound confusing, but it really isn't. We just want to go to Window, Bolt, Assets, and all we want to do is go into our custom cube state and add another property. And you can name this anything. I'm going to name it is moving, and it's simply a Boolean that we want over the network. So compile it. Once it says success, close out of all this stuff and head back into Visual Studio. So now, instead of saying this here, let's comment this out, we can say if movement is not equal to 0, we do state.isMoving equals true. Oops, true. Perfect. So if we are moving, state.isMoving is true, and of course we want to say if we are not moving, state.isMoving equals false. And now, after all this stuff, we can simply say if state.isMoving, and now we can copy and paste these. State.animator.play move animation, and of course else state.animator.play idle animation. So I built and run it again, and it's still being weird. And there is one more thing we have to do to sync this. So we have this condition within the simulate owner, which is like update, but it's only called on the device that instantiated or created this script. So really, this is still only being called. The animation is only being played if you are the device that created it. And that's actually not what we want in this case. So we can cut this, and we actually just want good plain old update. And then we can paste that. So this will be on every device. It's called on every device. And it can tell if state.isMoving. So this is not local. This checks over the state. And it does it for every computer. So every computer will check whether the state is moving or not, and this is set within the owner because we only want the movement to take in the owner's input. And then with all this, now it should finally work, but let's go test it. And now with all those steps, lo and behold, we finally have the moving animation working over the network. Hooray! And just one more fun fact before I go. Simulate owner you can actually get by saying in a regular old update function if entity.isOwner. That's pretty much the same thing as saying simulate owner, except I think simulate owner is actually fixed update. I'm not sure about this, but in testing I think it is. So I've actually just started putting all of this simulate owner code in my own projects. I would just copy and paste this right into entity.isOwner, and then for everything else I just put it right below this if statement, and it seems to work for me. But whichever you want to do is your call, or if someone knows better in the comments, please let us know. But yeah, that covers it for this tutorial. But yeah guys, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. And recently I actually just moved into a new place for university, and I'm not sure how recording will work because I actually have 2 other roommates in the room that I'm staying in, and in my apartment there's 2 more people, so there's 5 people total. And right now I'm lucky because I'm alone, but it's usually kind of loud around here, so I'm not sure how recording will work, but I'm sure we'll find a way. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode.